I love this game. It's fucking terrible. Never before have I had a game where it's both the most frustrating thing to control and the funniest thing to play. Never before have I ever experienced a game with such a lack of understanding when it comes to the genre that it's trying to be, in this case a racing game. And that just makes this game all the more hilarious when you actually sit down and play it. And really, no matter how bad a game is, if you come out of it having had a great time, is it really a bad game? Yes. Sonic R was developed right after 1996 as Sonic 3D Blast, which had the same main development team, Traveler's Tales. Traveler's Tales, oh my fucking... Traveler's Tales had already been working on a 3D engine when Sega approached them about making a new 3D Sonic game. So what was once a Formula 1 racing game became a new Sonic racing game. Now there were two Sonic racing games before Sonic R started development, Sonic Drift and Sonic Drift 2 for the Sega Game Gear, and they were... So Sonic R went from trying to rip off Mario Kart again to being a racing game that only Sonic could be. An on-foot racer may not technically be that new of an idea if you count like world-class track meet or games like that, but it's not like Mario Kart invented cars racing each other either. So Sonic R was released in the year 1997 for the Sega Saturn. What? Oh, come on, guys. The Saturn wasn't that bad. Look at Head Panzer Dragoon, Fighters Megamix, Last Front. Oh, shit. Yeah, this was also the only original Sonic game on the Saturn. Sonic 3D Blast was a port, and yeah, Sonic Jam had a cool 3D overworld, but that's like saying that a glorified menu is the next big entry in a franchise. And let me tell you guys, the Saturn version of Sonic R is not the version you think it is. The version of Sonic R most people are familiar with is the version that was included in the Sonic Gems collection for the GameCube. And the PlayStation 2, but that version never came out in the US. I guess it didn't like our healthcare system. That version of Sonic R is the Windows port released a year after the Saturn version, which is way better, but is still indeed a dumpster fire. This game is a mess, but a really fun mess that I come back to all the time. It might be janky as all hell, but I'll be damned if there isn't some fun to that jank. Alright, I'm playing the GameCube version here, so let's see what Sonic R has to offer. Alright, I'm playing the GameCube version here, so let's see what Sonic R has to offer.
Ready, set, go!
Yeah! Starting off, we have a few modes: Standard, Grand Prix, Time Attack, and 2-player versus. I'll get these out of the way now. The Time Attack modes consist of Time Attack, Get Balloons, and Tag. Get Balloons is like a scavenger hunt in each map, and Tag is... Tag. The 2-player mode is just these modes, but with 2-player. Alright, time for the meat of this game, the Grand Prix mode. Starting off, we get to choose between Sonic, Tails, Amy, and Knuckles, with Eggman along with 4 other mystery characters being locked. Each character has their own abilities and stats. Obvious to anyone who has played any other Sonic game to this point, Sonic is faster, but generally is the all-around character. Tails can float around for a few seconds, but is slower on the ground. Knuckles can glide and still pretty fast. Amy has a car. Sure, fine. You make an on-foot racer just to give Amy a car again, good thinking. Not to mention that the car is terrible, look how slow it is. And instead of a jump, you get a boost. Cool. Eggman also doesn't have a jump, but he can shoot missiles that kind of don't do much, really. Like, they will slow down other racers for like a second, but with the strange gameplay and track designs, it doesn't matter much. As for the 4 other unlockable characters, we have Metal Sonic, Tails Doll, Metal Knuckles, and Eggman Robo. Each of these characters are more or less their organic counterparts, but they can float over water, so that's cool, I guess. In order to unlock Eggman, you just have to get first on all 5 stages. The robot characters, however, are unlocked through collecting these tokens scattered throughout each stage. Once you collect all of them and get first place, you face off with one of the 4 characters. You unlock them once you beat them. This mechanic was clearly implemented to promote exploration of each stage. Exploration. In a racing game. You can also find Chaos Emeralds on each map. Collecting each unlocks 1 extra character, Super Sonic, who of which is the best character hands down. Something odd they decided to do is sort of having the 2 halves of the cast be like 2 different tiers of characters. If you play as Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, or Eggman, you will only race against those characters. But if you play as Metal Sonic, Tails Doll, Metal Knuckles, Eggman Robo, or Super Sonic, you will only race against them. Kind of odd, and this makes winning as Tails Doll or Eggman Robo nearly impossible since Super Sonic trounces them in almost every way. Why wouldn't you play as characters on foot anyways? characters. Amy, Eggman, and Eggman Robo can't jump, which puts them at a horrible disadvantage. And Tailsdoll is the slowest character in the game, so really the character balancing is awful. Even the game's AI rubber banding doesn't help at all, and that's just one half to the story, because the characters themselves aren't why this game is terrible. Okay, so I wrote this essay titled Why Sonic R is a Horribly Designed Game. It didn't get me into Harvard, but maybe it'll be appropriate to share here. Racing games need two things to be fun aside from aesthetics, and that's satisfying controls and track layouts that complement those controls. Traveler's Tales for some reason decided they should do the opposite of both, resulting in Sonic R's controls being clunky and the track layout being the most bizarre design for a racing game I've ever seen. Let's start with the controls. When you start a race, you'd be forgiven for mistaking these controls for good during the first few seconds. You get a pretty okay sense of speed and the jumping feels satisfying to pull off. But then, you commit the greatest sin you could ever commit in Sonic R, slightly tilting your stick to the right. And immediately you understand why these controls don't work. Holding forward isn't like if you held forward in most 3D platformers. It's more akin to holding the accelerate button in a racer. Left and right do not move you in those directions, rather they turn you much like they would if you were driving a car. So since accelerate and turning are happening on the same stick, you can't get a full turn since you still have to hold forward to keep moving. And if you have to stop to turn on an extremely sharp corner, God help you. You turn so slow without any momentum. Now, if you press L or R, you will sort of bank left or right respectively. This combined with how much you can normally turn will make getting around corners way easier. And yeah, you can get used to it, but that doesn't help with the fact that the controls also have this weird slippery quality to them. You can never seem to correct yourself when you're going down a straight path since your turning is always tied to your acceleration. And if you miss a turn, you have to painstakingly slow down to make an attempt to turn since there's no reliable way to brake. Sure, L and R when pressed together act as a brake, but I don't want to brake, I want to drift! As Sonic! Oh! These controls are just awful on their own, but what makes them worse is that the track designs don't seem to take any of their mechanics into account. And here's something to keep in mind. Sega's very own Sonic team, yes, that Sonic team, provided the tracks to this game. Wow. So let's look at Mario Kart again. Super Mario Kart, how about? Tracks are pretty simple, but fun, right? Now look at Sonic R. What the fuck am I looking at? Part of me wants to believe that Sonic Team had no idea they were designing for a racer because holy crap, these tracks are terrible. Like I said before, with the token collecting thing, for some reason, they decided it would be a good idea to prioritize exploration in a racer. And hey, it's not like that can't work. You ever played Diddy Kong Racing? In that game, you'll have similar challenges where you have to collect these coins and win the race in order to unlock more tracks. But where in that game, the quote-unquote exploration came from places you'd naturally see or maybe even shortcuts you'd find, Sonic R seems to think that cutting corners counts as shortcuts. You have absolutely, positively, undeniably, most definitely have no reason to stay on the main highlighted track. Like, you could follow this path or jump over this body of water. Take this corner or just cut through this other way because it won't take as long. Keep on the path or become a forest creature and find that in this game there are no rules to racing. Like the loops. Why are they here? You can take them and get a bunch of rings or just don't! And I totally get that shortcuts are a huge part of racing games, but when I'm mistaking the main path for a shortcut and vice versa, there's something wrong. And we can't forget that there's also the gate and dash panel mechanics. So you collect these rings that do nothing except they can either open up these gates that will either lead to shortcuts, tokens, or chaos emeralds, or they can be used with this dash panel that will shoot you forward, and your distance forward depends on how many rings you have. Now, when your track design has shortcuts that don't require rings and actively avoid these mechanics and are 100% more efficient, why keep them? The only reason for the gates is when you're trying to collect tokens and emeralds. That's it. Playing this game is like playing a game with a bratty kid who just wants to win, so he keeps making up rules and you just sort of roll with it since it doesn't really matter. Except the bratty kid is you and you are Sega. And I mean, the tracks are fine when it comes to how they look. Each track is sort of designed after different types of Sonic levels. Resort Island is sort of like a Green Hill Zone style level. Radical City fits more of the urban style of zones that Sonic can have, like Casino Night Zone. Regal Ruin is sort of like a Marble Garden Zone or something along those lines. Reactive Factory is like an Eggman base or something. And as for Radiant Emerald, looks like, a sorry excuse for a Rainbow Road clone? To be honest though, Radiant Emerald is the only track that isn't outright awful. If it weren't for the fact that it's just hard to look at in general, this would be the one track that's close to being well designed. Really, the controls being bad are one thing, but if Sonic R just had tracks that weren't designed so poorly, this game would at least not have been as bad as it is. And sure, I know all the tracks and I know all their optimal routes, so I'll always get first place. But I don't feel like I'm utilizing any sort of skill to achieve victory here. I just know the quickest path and the AI isn't going to take them. I can see how a game designed this way could work, but god if it doesn't here. They really should have put more time creating a synergy between the controls and track layouts, that way there's, you know, actual skill involved. But this is the game we got. Shitty controls, unbalanced characters, and confusing tracks. And that makes this game so fucking funny to play, you guys. I mean it too. Getting together with some friends and seeing who's the best at such a shitty game is some of the most fun I've had playing video games. Well, okay, I wouldn't go that far, but the point is it's a really good time. What really brings it all together though is the one thing that Sonic R does right, and that's the legendary soundtrack it has. Composed by Richard Jacques and features the vocal talent of British singer TJ Davis, Sonic R's soundtrack is all actually completely original pop songs. At first, this is really off-putting since these don't fit at all in a Sonic racing game, but the more you listen to these songs, the bizarre nature of their inclusion becomes even more bizarre, and the fact that these songs are actually really catchy makes these the most enjoyable part about the game. Sonic R is a complete dumpster fire, but here's the thing about dumpster fires. They will still keep you warm in the winter, and as much as you'd rather not be near a dumpster fire, if it's cold it might be your only source of warmth for a while. Once the winter has passed though, you get the fuck away as quickly as possible, cause, you know, it's a dumpster fire. But you'll always remember that one time that dumpster fire kept you warm when you needed it most. You know, that analogy made more sense in my head. Sonic R is a bad game, but sometimes it's fun to play a bad game. That's all there is to it. Ironically, Sonic R didn't get completely slammed upon release. Reviews were more mixed, but as time went on, people looked back on this game with the distaste that it deserved. Sega would not abandon the concept of a Sonic racing game, however. Fans actually wanted more Sonic racing games after Sonic R, and we eventually got the Sonic Riders series, which is a whole nother can of worms, and the Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing series, which is a lot more of a traditional series of kart racers that are actually very good. Sonic R may live in infamy, but it's not like it's outright ignored. You get remixes of some of the songs from Sonic R in more modern Sonic games, usually the main theme in Can You Feel the Sunshine, which shows that Sega gets what part about Sonic R fans like. But it's sort of a shame that the idea of an on-foot Sonic racing game has never been reapproached by Sega, and I really do think it could work. Maybe it shouldn't be a circuit racer. How about a whole game of just point-to-point races where you're pretty much going against each other in Sonic levels akin to Sonic Adventure? Basically turn Sonic Adventure 2 Battles Race Mode into its own game. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's not like we haven't had Sonic games that have tried something like this. The Sonic Rivals duology basically does this with the concept of you racing against each other in a 2D Sonic level. Only problem with that is that these games make me want to die for real, I'm not even kidding. Maybe someday we will get a new on-foot Sonic racer, but until then I think I'll stick with Sonic R. Not because it's attractive, but because it made me laugh, and sometimes that's all someone wants. And being able to make someone laugh is a desirable trait that most people look for when looking for something new in their lives. Did I accidentally give dating advice while reviewing Sonic R?
So many things for us to do.